Hi everyone, and welcome back to Speak Like a Leader. Now, on Tuesday, we talked about silent letters in pronunciation and worked through some great exercises and examples. So today, we're going to continue our path in improving our pronunciation by tackling a fundamental yet often overlooked aspect of English communication, and that is no other than stress patterns. Have you ever noticed how some English speakers sound smooth, clear, and confident, while others, despite knowing the right words, struggle to hold attention? Often the difference lies in word and sentence stress. Stress patterns in English dictate which syllables or words should be emphasized. If you stress the wrong part of the word, it can lead to confusion, or worse, it makes you sound unpolished. So how about we explore together the rules of stress patterns? We can dive into examples that are common in business communication and learn techniques to sound natural and professional. So by the end, you will hopefully feel more in control of your speech, ensuring that your ideas shine every time you speak. Why do stress patterns matter even more when learning English? Because English is a stress-timed language, meaning the rhythm of a sentence depends on its stressed syllables. Unlike syllable-time languages like Spanish, French, English relies on these patterns for clarity and meaning. Consider the difference between a record, the noun, and to record, the verb. We need to keep a record of all transactions, and we need to record this session for future reference. In the first example, the stress is on the first syllable, record. In the second, it shifts to the second syllable, to record. If you stress the wrong syllable, the listener might misunderstand or need a moment to process your meaning. A disruption you want to avoid, especially if you're in a professional setting. Let's start practicing with word stresses, which basically determine which syllable in a word is emphasized. In two-syllable words, stress often changes depending on whether the word is a noun or a verb. Let's look at some examples. We have the first word. If we look at it as a noun, it is present. Your present was well received. If we look at it as a verb, it's to present. Let me present the quarterly report. Let's look at the second word. If we look at it as a noun, it's increase. We've seen a steady increase in profits. Whereas if we look at it as a verb, it is to increase. We need to increase our revenue by 10%. And the third word, if we look at it as a noun, it is a contract. I've signed the contract. Whereas if we look at it as a verb, it is to contract, which means to decrease. We need to contract costs this quarter. Now, looking at longer words, these can also cause stress pattern confusion, especially those words that are borrowed from Latin or Greek. For example, the word communicate. We stress the MU. We need to communicate more effectively during meetings. Negotiate. We stress the go. Let's negotiate better terms with the supplier. And the word productivity is stressed in two parts. Our productivity levels have improved this year. In business settings, many technical terms and jargon have predictable stress patterns that are easy to misplace. Look at these words, for example. Budget. Say budget, not budget. Finance. Say finance when using British English, but finance when you're using American English. Marketable. not marketable. Hierarchy, not hierarchy. These words are essential in professional conversations, so make sure your stress is spot on to enhance clarity. Now that we've explored word stress, let's move on to sentence stress. Sentence stress emphasizes the most important words in a sentence to convey meaning. Typically, there are two kinds of words: content words, including nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, and function words like articles, prepositions, and auxiliary verbs, which are less emphasized. Here are some examples of sentence stress. A neutral stress looks like this. We need to finish the report by tomorrow. So you're stressing the words finish, report, and tomorrow. The team did an excellent job. You stress the words team, excellent, and job. In this next example, we'll see how we can shift emphasis for meaning within the same sentence. So you can either say, we need to finish the report, not someone else, but we. Or, we need to finish the report because it's essential. Or, we need to finish the report, not just start it, we need to finish it. And we can also use stress to express contrast. For example, I asked for blue, not black. Or, the client will visit, not the supplier. Everything clear so far? Okay, let's look at some common stress mistakes that many of my students make. Many non-native speakers tend to stress function words, making their sentences sound unnatural. For example, we need to finish the report by tomorrow, whereas you should say, we need to finish the report by tomorrow. Some of my students also misplace stress patterns in questions. In English, questions have unique stress patterns. For example, when you're thinking of a yes or no question, you also need to stress the key content word, like this. Are you going to the meeting? Stress the key noun meeting. Did he approve the plan? Stress the verb approve. What time is the presentation? Stress the key noun presentation. Where did you submit the document? Stress the verb submit. Misplacing stress in questions can lead to confusion, especially in fast-paced business conversations. Now, I know that the question that's on everyone's mind is, how do you actually practice these rules? Well, there are many ways. Number one, you can listen and mimic. Choose a business podcast that you like, a TED Talk, or some segment, and mimic the speaker's stress patterns. Focus on matching their rhythm and emphasis. Number two, you can read aloud and stress mark. So take a paragraph from a business article and underline the content words to stress. For example, the client has requested a detailed analysis on our strategy. Also, contrast practice. You can shift stress in sentences to highlight different meanings. For example, the deadline is strict versus the deadline is strict. And lastly, I love tongue twisters. You can practice tongue twisters that require deliberate stress. The corporate clerk claimed to clear concept of the contract. Let's say that 3 times correctly. The corporate clerk claimed the clear concept of the contract. The corporate clerk claimed a clear concept on the contract. The corporate clerk claimed a clear concept on the contract. Fun, right? Mastering stress patterns in business English will elevate your communication to a whole new level. Stress impacts how natural, confident, and professional you sound. The more you practice, the more intuitive it becomes, and soon you notice that colleagues and clients are responding more positively to how you express yourself. If you found this helpful, share a comment with a word or sentence you struggle to stress correctly. Let's work on it together in a following video. And remember, speak clearly, confidently, and always like a true leader. See you next time.